Now, the radical Islamic terrorists of ISIS now focusing on young mothers and children in their efforts to groom so-called jihadi babies. Some believe this toddler may be one of the network's youngest recruits, although those claims cannot be verified or confirmed. But experts say ISIS is taking a long view, marrying women off to have children and looking to grow their movement over a generation to establish their Islamic caliphate. And this comes as the Yazidi religious minority and Christians say the ISIS terrorists continue their rampage of kidnapping and killing in the name of religion. So how can this finally be stopped? Fred Fleitz is a former CIA analyst and a senior fellow with the Center for Security Policy. Fred, always good to see you. I mean, the stories that we're hearing are really almost unimaginable. You got 1 million refugees. We're told they're selling girls into slavery. The so-called jihadi babies. I mean, are airstrikes enough to finally stop ISIS?
Hi, Eric, and Happy New Year. I don't think they are. And I guess what concerns me about these reports is that they're not on the front pages of our newspapers. This is really horrific what we're seeing with how they're trying to indoctrinate children in Syria and Iraq. But I think our senses are getting dulled to the horror and the depravity of this organization. I think our politicians and our news media really needs to wise up. And of course, I don't mean Fox News, to just keep the American people focused on this.
Well, you know, we're covering it and we're trying to, but you're right. A few months ago, the president warned and said there was a genocide. Look what's happening with the Yazidis. And still you have such silence, and they're not even being fully armed with the type of equipment that they want. What do they need? What did the Kurds need to fight back effectively against the encroaching forces of ISIS?
That's really the most important part of this story. Now, Fox reported recently that the Iraqi Kurds, the Peshmerga forces, are complaining that they're not getting the heavy weapons they need to fight ISIS. Well, there's one reason for that. There is a policy by the Obama administration called the One Iraq policy. We will not provide weapons to the Iraqi Kurd forces without going through Baghdad. The reason is we want to try to unite Iraq and bring about a political reconciliation. But while these parties argue over that, we're giving ISIS time to commit atrocities and to dig in.
So basically, they're playing out the clock with all this, you know, bureaucratic arguing. Let me show you what Holly McKay of FoxNews.com reported in dealing with this issue, in trying to have us help the Kurds. The Peshmerga soldiers range from about 18 to 70 years old, with many coming out of retirement in the quest to defeat the ISIS threat. During days of intense conflict, the Peshmerga are lucky to return to the base for 2 or 3 hours of sleep and a quick bite to eat before returning to their fighting. Western powers view the Kurds as a crucial safeguard against further Islamic State advances. But in order to take the offensive, the Peshmerga say they need more help. How can we give them that help if Baghdad potentially is blocking it? I mean, why don't they have the tanks and the anti-tank equipment and missiles that they say they so desperately need?
Well, I would first add that I'm not sure how long they can hold on without heavy weapons. They're relying on Soviet-era weapons, mostly small arms that they've gotten from the West. In my opinion, the Baghdad government needs us more than we need them, and we simply should tell them that we're going to send these weapons to the Peshmerga because it's in our interest and it's in their interest to do so. Senator John McCain and Ed Royce, the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, they've been very clear. We've waited long enough to provide the weapons necessary for the Peshmerga to defend themselves against ISIS. They've been the most effective force against ISIS. They've had some significant wins, but frankly, they're just holding on. I think over a matter of time, because of new ISIS tactics, they could start losing ground.
So sadly, quickly, if they don't get this, what do you fear?
Well, I think they're going to start losing ground. They're facing IEDs, cars full of bombs. I mean, ISIS is adapting to the Peshmerga forces, and they're trying to wear them down. They need these weapons now.
Well, they're asking for that. They're not getting it yet, but we'll see what happens. Fred Fleitz, thank you, as always.
Good to be here.
Absolutely.